And before we get into it, please make sure you like and subscribe to this channel to see more Star Wars content. Before the 1980s, children's television was very regulated, and in 1968, the Action for Children's Television was formed to improve and protect the quality of children's programming. Seeking to safeguard children from violence or inappropriate situations, they are responsible for approving children's cartoons such as Scooby-Doo. During the 70s, ACT would spend money on research campaigns on the effect that advertising would have on children and the potential damage that could come from it. Their conclusion? That children can't tell the difference between a commercial and a cartoon, and were deeply influenced by the repetition and timing of these ads during the cartoons. And advertising agencies already knew this, having spent millions of dollars on research themselves decades earlier. So ACT put in place several regulations that made the Federal Communications Commission, or the FCC, change the way that broadcasters and advertisers handled commercials. Stations had to have at least 14 hours of children's programming a week, no commercials during children's shows, and hosts could not sell any form of product during the show. They also needed to disclose when the show was going to a commercial break, such as,
"After these messages, we'll be right back."
Through the 70s, this was commonplace. Until the year 1980, Ronald Reagan became president of the USA. And let's just be clear, this show is not about politics. But to understand the cartoons of the 80s, we need to understand the first big act of the Reagan administration. Reagan appointed Mark Fowler as the new head of the FCC. And the first big change? Deregulation. And especially in the way that advertisers and broadcast companies handled children's programming, basically reversing everything that ACT had fought to put in place. ACT did put up a fight, but we don't have to go over how that went. Captain Kangaroo went away, so did Schoolhouse Rock, as well as dozens of well-loved children's shows. So what did take their place? Cartoon lines that had licensable characters, a 300% jump in them as a matter of fact. And just in case you were wondering, in the 90s, the broadcast companies and the advertising agencies were faced with regulations once again that tried to reverse the deregulation of the 80s, although there were a ton of loopholes that were taken advantage of. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like. That does support the channel. And please consider subscribing. And also hit that notification bell so you know when episodes go live. And as always, my friends, thank you, and I will see you next time.